Today we're going to talk a little bit about using the VIM text editor in Linux. We're going to start off by talking about the cursor movement. The H, J, K, and L keys all move the cursor left, down, up, and right. And W and capital W also move the cursor to the beginning of each word. And if you type 0, it moves it to the beginning of the entire line. The money symbol moves the cursor to the end of the line, and GG moves it to the beginning of the whole entire document. And capital G will do the exact opposite and move it to the end of the document. And if you want to move to a certain line, you can type the number. So I'm going to type 1 and then capital G, and it automatically moves it to the number of the line that you typed in. You can also move down entire pages with Control F, which moves it down an entire page, and Control B moves it back an entire page. You can move half pages as well with Control D and Control U. So you can see that moves it halfway through the page. Now that we've discussed moving the cursor around in VIM, we're going to talk about inserting text and new lines into a text document using different keys in VIM. The lowercase key inserts text before the cursor. So if we press I, we can see that it inserts text right before where the cursor was. And if you press escape, it exits insert mode. So with any of these keys, it works the same way. If you hit capital I, it'll start inserting at the beginning of a whole entire line instead of just where the cursor was. Lowercase a inserts after the cursor, whereas lowercase I inserted before the cursor. So if we use lowercase a, you can see here that it's now inserting after the cursor. And capital A will do the opposite of capital I, and it will insert at the end of the line instead of the beginning. Now O, lowercase o, will make an entire new line below the line that the cursor is on. So as you can see here, it did that. And capital O inserts an entire line above where the cursor is at. There's also other ways to edit the text in the file other than just inserting text at the beginning of cursors and lines. If we type R, it can replace the character below the cursor. So we'll hit R, and you can replace it with a K or with a G or anything else, anything you type. And if you type U, it will undo the last thing you did. Now if we want to join the current line with the line below the cursor, we can type capital J, and it will bring the line under it up to join. You hit U to undo that. And CC will delete the entire line, and you can type something else in there. So we're just going to hit U to undo that as well. And CW will go to the end of the word and let you replace, but since this was one letter, I'll show you that example on a bigger word. CW, there we go. It deletes the entire word and lets you type something else in. So we're going to do that as well. And $$ changes all the way to the end of the line. So it changes everything from the cursor to the end. Hit U to undo that. The S key deletes the character under the cursor and then lets you replace it with a larger amount of text. The next thing I'm going to talk about is cutting and pasting in VIM. If you want to copy a line, you can just hit YY, and it will copy the current line that the cursor is on. You can go up here, and I'll hit P, and it'll paste it after the cursor. There you go, paste it in. And if you do capital P, it will paste the same line before the cursor. So we're going to move it here and do capital P, and it'll paste it on the line before the cursor. Now, if you want to copy two lines at once, you can just add a 2 in front of YY, and it'll copy the current line and the line under it as well. So I can show you that. Go up and paste. As you can see here, it copied these two lines. Now, YW copies just a word and not the entire line. And if you do Y money symbol, it copies from the cursor to the end of the entire line. I paste that in. As you can see here, it copied only this part. You can also just delete lines or cut them in VIM, and if you type DD, it'll cut the current line that the cursor is on. Alright, undo that. And adding a 2 in front of it will delete the line you're on and the line under it as well. And if you type BW, it will delete the word that the cursor is over at the moment. And X will only delete one character. Once you're finished editing what you need to in the file, there are a couple of commands you can use to save or quit the file. So before you type any of them, you have to type Shift : and it opens up the command line for you to use. Now the letter W will simply just save the file. It won't exit, but it'll just save it, and it'll give you a little warning that says the file's been changed. Just hit Y, and it saves it. You can hit Enter. You can open the command line back up. And if you want to save using sudo, so for some reason the file won't allow you to save it, just by typing W, you can try this. And it will prompt you normally to type in your password, but I've done that recently, so it won't ask for it. But normally it will. And it'll just do the same thing that W does, but with sudo privileges. And if you want to save and quit all in one command, you can type WQ or X. Or even when you're not in the command line, you can type 2 capital Z's and it will force quit and save. Just the letter Q will quit, and it will fail if there are any unsaved changes. So if you've changed the file, then it won't allow you to quit. But you can force quit by adding an exclamation mark to the end of that. The next thing I'm going to talk about is how to search for things and also replace things within a file. If you use a / and then whatever pattern you're looking for, it'll start at the cursor, where the cursor was, and search for that pattern you type in. So I believe the cursor was up here on 1, so we're going to search for the word word. There you go, and it starts the cursor at the word you search for. And if you start with a question mark, it will search in the opposite direction for whatever you type. So I'm going to type 1, and it should bring the cursor back to the word 1 up there. Yep, there we go. Now also, you can use the lowercase n, and it will search for the word 1 in the same direction that you initiated the search in. So it'll search for the next word 1 up in the document, and it was a little further up. And if you type uppercase n, it will reverse the direction of the search. So it should bring us back to the one that we were at. Yep, there we go. You can also search for items to replace them within the file. You can use %, %S, and then /, and then you type the word that you are looking to replace. So we're going to type the word yank in, and we're going to replace the word yank with the word spank. And type / again, G, and that will replace the word without confirmations. So there you go, and as you can see here, it replaced the word yank with spank. You can do the same thing, but we're going to change it from spank to yank again. So we're going to type :, S /, and we're going to change the word spank back to yank. If you type GC, it will replace it with confirmations. So you go, and it says, it asks you before replacing it, so you just type Y for yes. Yes, yes, and there was 4 instances, so it asked me 4 times. And if you type colon NOH, it removes the highlighting search matches. So when you search for an item, it will no longer highlight it. So we can search back in the direction for the word 1 again, and it no longer highlights it. With Vim, you can also work with multiple files at once. And to open a new file in a buffer, you can type colon E, and then the file name of the file you want to open. So we're going to open up lab8.txt in a new buffer. Alright, so let's open that. You can type :ls to see the different open buffers you have. And it lists just that one right here that we have. Alright. Now, also, you can split a file name horizontally with colon SP, and then the file name, it'll open up a new file in the buffer as well and split the window. So you'll have both the files at once open. So SP and then the name of the file. There you go, and it split the the file here. Here's the top one. And you can move to the second window by hitting Control WW. And they'll move it down to the bottom file. You can also hit Control WK, and it'll move one window up, and then Control WJ, and it will move one window down. And you can also open up a new file in the buffer and split it vertically. So you type :VSP and then the file name, lab8.txt, and it's going to split the top window in half vertically and open a new file in one of the other windows. There you go. So we have 1, 2, and 3 different instances of the file open. So if we type :ls, we can see that there is just the one file open. Now, you can also just split a window vertically by typing Control WV, and it splits the window vertically again. We can move down again. And also, you can move between the different windows using Control W L. L, and that moves one window to the right. And you can also do Control W H, and it will move to the left. So here's Control W L and Control W H.